host right now for Business Over Coffee's Share event. And at Share, we do several different, we do one full topic with several different people as a part of that topic. And this month's topic is nonprofits. And our first one up here is with the American Cancer Society. And we have a wonderful lady. I told her a second ago that she has alphabet soup behind her name. And she says, no, I've just been to a lot of schools that she's got. Oh, you name it. But this is Dr. Y. Woods Harris, and she is a retired nurse, but you are a doctor. How does a doctor of ministry? Okay, see, there's another one of those things. But she is a retired nurse, and she is the ACT lead for the Tennessee District 9 of the American Cancer Society, the Cancer Action Network. And you've also written a wonderful book on grief.
Compilation
on grief. So that's a wonderful thing too, because unfortunately those two can go together. So you've got some great things coming up, and so welcome, Y, to, I don't think I've ever called you Dr. Harris. I may have to call you that today.
Thanks, Carolyn. This is such a wonderful opportunity, and I have been going around the city explaining to people what the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and it's American Cancer Society, CAN. And this is a sister group to the American Cancer Society. I am also a volunteer and a speaker and a trainer for the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
But when we talk about the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, we are the ones that are dealing with the legislative piece. And so one of our roles is to look at the laws, talk to the legislators. We travel to Nashville when there's a need. We also travel to Washington at least once a year and talk to our legislators. American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and I'm going to say ASCAN just because it's a lot of words, but one of the things that ASCAN is working on this year in our 2013 initiative is something that's very dear to me. Because what the American Cancer Society has done is actually crossed over and looked at some laws that pertain to quality of life. And also, a lot of people don't realize the difference between palliative care and hospice care. So those are the kinds of
I know what hospice is. I don't know what that person was, so you're right.
And we want to have people understand that, because when you say to someone, are you familiar with palliative care, or have you talked to your physician about palliative care? Immediately they go, no, I'm not ready to go yet. But that's not what it is. Palliative care is the care that you receive once you get any type of diagnosis. It looks at your pain levels, the things that you need for pain, any equipment and all of those things. That's palliative care. The word palliative is just taking care as a healing method. Hospice is taking care of you as you near the end of life. And let me just say to you, because I'm in 5 different organizations that deal with quality of care and also palliative care and hospice, so many times we don't realize that when you're looking at what's going on with you, your advanced planning starts immediately. You shouldn't wait until you are at the point where you can't make any decisions. So one of the things that the Healthy Shelby is doing this year is that
Shelby being Shelby County.
Shelby County.
For our online listeners.
Healthy
watchers,
Shelby is an
yes.
organization that has pulled all of the hospitals, all of the organizations together to teach them about how to do advanced life planning. Not advanced end-of-life planning, because that's a part of it, but advanced life planning means that you look at how you want to make decisions, who needs to make decisions for you. And so what we've done is also looked at how we can give this information. I attended for BOCI a couple of months ago, I attended the Chamber Luncheon. Mm-hmm. And at the Chamber Luncheon, we had Jerry Ashley, who is the director of the Baptist Trinity. And she talked to us about the 5 wishes and about how we need to make some decisions and how the plan is that we will have 100,000 people who will know that when I say advanced planning, I'm talking about those kinds of things, or if I'm talking about palliative care, they will know the difference. So what I'm doing, because I'm also a faith community nurse, and if you know anything about faith community nurse, that's a nurse that has a degree certification over the registered nurse, and we work with parishes, we work with churches, we work with the faith community, whether it's churches or in any faith community. So my role today is to talk to people about, first of all, the 5 wishes. And I'm just going to read to you the 5 wishes, because I want you, if you've
Yeah, that was my next question. What are the
gone
5?
on my site,
Okay.
you know that I talk about why, ask why.
Now, what is your site?
My Facebook site is Wise Joyful Company, Wyvonia Harris, or Y Woods Harris.
Okay.
You can get me. You Google me, you get all these different people, but it's all me. It's coming from my personality. But this is the 5 wishes. And so this is what I just want to spend a few minutes to talk to you about, because what I want you to do is look at how you can schedule the people that you deal with daily to talk about conversation. There is a conversation that begins with anything that you do. You don't go to a lawyer and they immediately know what you need. You start a conversation. So the 5 wishes these are the wishes. My wish for the person I want to make care decisions for me when I can't.
Very important.
When I can't. Don't wait until you can't. You want to find that person. The next one is the kind of medical treatment I want or don't want. The next one is how comfortable I want to be, how I want people to treat me, and what I want my loved ones to know. I happen to have a living will that I filled out in 2005, and I use that when I review it and make sure that it's up to date. And the reason I say that is because I am also a church nurse, along with being an associate minister at my church.
Why? I got to say this. You're not retired.
I am retired.
No, you're not.
I call myself
I'm
repositioned for
Reposition.
transformation.
Okay.
I'm repositioned for
Reposition.
transformation.
You're not retired.
But I share with you that we had the incident in my church where we keep names and people. We had a lady who had a stroke, and she had a stroke, and so we immediately started trying to find family. Well, what we found out is that she had not updated her papers, and so the person that we were supposed to contact had been dead 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
So I do this for shock, because I want you to realize that if you have not told people what you needed or what you want, then you can't expect them to know. So the 5 wishes is actually a plan. I'm a part of the Mid-South Comfort Care Coalition. This is a grassroots group here in Memphis. We go around the city talking to people about advanced care planning, end-of-life issues, and because I'm a grief facilitator, that's what my card actually says I am, a grief facilitator, I talk to people about how to make decisions and when to make decisions. And I say to them, you know, if you look in the death notices, you will see varied ages. But our responsibilities, even as adults for our children, is to know what they want. Sometimes you hear the stories where somebody will say, well, my child heard this at school and had a car accident and they wanted to donate. These are the kinds of things that you fill out your 5 wishes for. So those wishes are the person I want to make care decisions for me when I can't, the kind of medical treatment I want or don't want. There's nothing in this paper that says that all of the things that you do, all the things that are in this paper you have to do. You say, oh no, I don't want that. I want them to do everything. Because we have people say, no, I want 20 days of this or 40 days of that. I want ICU. But the problem is when you don't make that decision, the hospital and everybody in your family, they don't have anything to help themselves, and they don't have anything to help you. So we do this because first of all, we want you to look at your advanced planning. How many of you all have participated in a living will or advanced planning class?
Oh, a class?
Or anything, any information sharing.
Yeah.
So when you left, were you able to go immediately and talk to your family about it? That's the problem. It's very hard. Let's share with you. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2000. Well, actually, I retired after 43 years. So I've been a registered nurse for 45 years. And all of the times that I've been there, I've always dealt with grief. and I see it daily. I have patients who have 5 wishes and they've done well and they filled out all these papers. And guess where they are? They're in their safe deposit box. And so when they're in the hospital, nobody's going to let us in that safe deposit box. So whatever we need to do, because we have nothing in writing and your family does not know. And that's the most difficult time, is to watch a family be torn apart because nobody
What
has
is the
made a
best way?
conversation.
Because I just flipped through this. This is amazing.
It is amazing.
And it's made up at Methodist Healthcare.
It's
So can
actually
you get it there?
All of the places that I talked about, all of the hospitals and the organization, what they're doing now is they're going to the employees. They just trained about 40,000 people, which are Baptist, Methodist employees, St. Francis employees.
So can your employer request these?
Yeah, your
Call
employee
your HR people and get this in the hands of, this is amazing. It's got everything down to what life support means to me in a coma and not expected to wake up or recover, and it gives 3 different choices for you to check. This is amazing.
It is amazing, but I want to say to you, don't wait on this. You can go to Tennessee.gov and pull down. You can't pull down the 5 wishes because 48 states accept 5 wishes. But you can go to Tennessee.gov, pull down a 2-page advanced care plan, and you can fill that out. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, and I have older people in my congregation say, well, I can't spend $1,500 to go to have somebody fill out this, or a notary public.
Yeah.
What the new law, the Tennessee law is that if you have 2 people that are not after your money and that are not relatives and that you trust, if you have those 2 people sign what you write, and like I said, you write it on here or you pull down that form, or a notary public, or a lot of people have they have financial planning, and it's part of that situation too.
Now,
but I am really going towards the people that just cannot afford it, but they need it.
And most people can get a notary at work, or you could get your church group.
The bank will do a notary.
The bank,
for
yeah, but they'll
public.
charge.
Yeah. No, but
So some people just
see,
can't
Jim,
do
that's
it,
what
but
I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
You've got people that live on Social Security.
Yeah.
Those
But
are
the
the people that I'm
churches,
dealing with.
a lot
I'm
of
dealing with
times-
people that
Yeah.
cannot afford it. And I'm saying to them, so that's what I do, is I go to churches. As a matter of fact, I'm having a workshop at my church. My church is Mount Vernon Baptist Church, Westwood, on 620 Park Road. But on Saturday, we are doing a workshop, and the session that I'm doing includes this. I'm doing a piece on grief, but it includes the 5 wishes. And at that time, I'm going to help people on a one-on-one or a smaller group
But
basis.
sometimes you have a notary in a church
Yeah, you
group.
do.
And then if you do this as a church activity, that notary will probably do
Yeah, you do.
notarize every one of those that night for nothing.
And
So
if,
yeah.
And if you
yeah.
can't, don't. But what I want you to know is that you need to have a conversation. You need to have a conversation as soon as you can. Because so many times we have people who say, well, we're going to wait, and something happens and you don't do it. So that's the part of that. But my other part of my body, this part, as a legislator.
In her retired life.
As a legislator advocate, is that we are looking at the quality of life, and this law is HR 1666. Now, I know you probably don't care about that, but I'm one of these people, I have to know what the law number is.
Well,
And it's
that's people go home and look it up,
you
so
can
they
look
get the
it
whole
up,
thing.
and it's called Patient-Centered Quality Care for Life Act. The reason I'm telling you about this is because this law expands research, and it also gives training for, if the law, once the law comes into effect, it gives training to people to help people with quality of life. You know, you can talk about you live to 99, but if your quality of life is 70, you stop having the quality of life that you like. And you will hear people say, I don't want this because this is something that I've always fought against. I don't want to go to a nursing home or whatever it is. So that's the first thing. And I'm telling you this because I want you to be aware. We just wrote an article in the letter to editor for the Commercial Appeal about these 2 laws. The other one is palliative care and hospice education and training. And those are the Senate 641 and HR 1339. Now the purpose for this is to train people, just like I've been train people to help people understand these 2 laws. So basically, that's my morning focus of these two things. I want you to realize that we do need to look at quality of life, and your quality of life starts right now. So whatever you do, have a conversation with a family member. Let that family member know. Don't, I want to say one more thing. Don't tell somebody that they are your advocate, your healthcare advocate, because not everybody is set up to be a healthcare advocate. I've got a 45-year-old daughter, 48-year-old daughter that I wouldn't let her advocate anything for me, because that child, she would make me live to 105. I know it. So, but I have another child who understands where I'm coming from. So these are two things I want you to take away. Take away that there are laws that need to be passed so that we can look at quality of care, of quality of life care, and also for hospice and palliative. And the other thing is that when you leave here, you'll know about 5 wishes. Think about them. Even if you have to do them one at a time, take your time and think about who you can tell how I want. My advanced directive has a little humor on it. It says, I want to be buried in Elmwood in white, and I also do not want a long funeral, and if they talk more than 3 minutes, play some good music and let them dance.
I love it. When you talk about your daughter, my mom, when my grandmother got to that point, my mom stepped back and said, you're going to be the one that does all of this. And anytime she went to the hospital, St. Francis gave her that power of attorney.
Right.
And she had me sign it, not my mom.
Right.
And I think it was for that same reason. Mama said, I'm just too close.
Right.
It needs to be a little bit further. And my grandmother worked in a hospital, and she was very, very firm on what she wanted and what
Right.
she didn't want, because she'd seen too many people, like you said, whose family had said, oh no, do every single thing, don't love you, love it. And my grandmother was very, let
Most
it
of all, she
happen.
told somebody.
Yeah, well, she didn't just tell somebody, she told all of us. We all knew.
I actually did 9 copies and sent them out to Texas, Maryland, and my brother and sister called my children and went, what is going on? And they said, oh no, she's just being wise.
Yeah, and well, another thing that I learned this actually at church, and then I went home and I told my grandmother, and she did it. She went through her whole house. Is not everybody can afford a will, to do a will, and those are getting easier and easier to do now. But she wrote in her handwriting the name, my sister's name, and she taped it on the china
Right,
box.
Right.
My brother's name, and she taped it on the back of this big old radio
That's a
tubes.
wonderful plan.
It's
Yeah.
that old. The radio had tubes and had to warm up. The butter churn had my name taped inside of and she went around the house and she did that. So there was
That's a
no
wonderful place to
question,
start.
no question whenever, because your emotions are too high at that point. And so,
I mean, I say to people, my family think, well, what's going on? Because I'm also a part of the Funeral Alliance, Consumers Alliance. But I bring all what I bring to you is that when you have grief, and grief starts a long time before death, but when you have grief, there are people who will have different things and that they want to know about. But I have prices on funerals and things like that,
Yeah.
and to tell you how not to be emotional and go and buy 100 things when you don't need but one.
now where can people get this book to help them with grief?
That book I did in 2009, so I have no more. I've sold them all. I'm working on my next one, so I want you to remember the next one will talk about
We'll have you back.
my things after
Okay.
I'm 65, after 65, the things that have happened to me after 65.
Okay, well, now I lost my paper that had there it is. Sherry would shoot me if I lost this. But we've had this has been wonderful. And if you have just come in, you can go back and see the entire thing. We are on virtually, so most of our audience comes from archived watches. So we really, really want to let our archived people know that go back and listen to the beginning if you just happen to catch a little piece of this, but with Why Woods Harris. But join our conversation at BOCoffee on Twitter and sign up for your complimentary profile at www.businessovercoffee.com. And
Do we have time for questions?
I was going to say, do we have questions? Anybody have questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Most of y'all know I just lost my brother.
Yes.
And you know, and I've had to deal with it with my mother and father also, and we did some of the stuff with them. But we didn't have this for my brother. But we didn't actually have to deal with what to do with the hospital. He passed before he even got to the hospital. But we're out right now dealing with his will, and he did not update his will. He named my parents as the executor, and we're just in a big hubbub because, and that means we got to go to court over it, and the court's got to decide who can be our executor, and blah blah blah. And so that is definitely one thing that, and I know when you have it, and they say this, when you have a death in the family, you usually take the time and try to start doing some of these things. All I can say is don't wait till there's a death in the family. Start working on it now, and follow through.
There's several articles on, you can Google my name and you'll find a few articles that I've written in regard to grief and also on dealing
And
with
it's
this.
Y Woods Harris, YWY, that's her name, or Wyvonia, but YWY Woods Harris. And she is phenomenal, absolutely wonderful.
And you are darling too.
Oh. But our sponsor is Organo Gold. And here is a cup of coffee on Business Over Coffee.
Oh, he knows. I'm a green tea person, but he's already fixed me up.
Yeah, he's giving me excuses on the hot chocolate, but I'm not buying it. But we want to thank Y for being here and letting us this wonderful information. And Tennessee, tn.gov, you can get this.
You can get
A similar thing to this. Otherwise, contact Methodist Healthcare or let your HR people know at your company that they need to contact Methodist Healthcare and get these in the hands of everyone. This is, and like you said, several. Because I was reading through this and you were saying locked up in the safety deposit box. All three of my kids need to have this, and my brothers and sisters need to have this. So, you know, it needs to be out there. So thank you so much,
Thanks.
Y, and thank you for tuning in and watch us. Stick around. We've got three more people to talk to today. We're going to talk to Toys for Tots. We're going to talk to Sober House, and the Memphis Police Department will be here.
And we also have Ms. Aliette Murray Drova she's Executive Director of the Family Safety Center.
Family Safety Center. Does that have to do with the same thing that the police department will be here with, the domestic violence issue? That's a big one
Need all
too.
of that.
Yes. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.